just started looking at the adjustments for this thing, and already I'm not a big fan of what they're telling you to do in the manual, but I'm going to follow it as closely as I can, at least for sequence. So the first thing they want you to do is set the positive and negative 10 volt supplies, and you have to pull this board out to be able to get to these pots, otherwise you can't really get to them. And the other thing is they wanted you to measure one of the connectors going to the oscillator board here, but it's just easier to go right to the regulator, the collector of the regulators. I found that to be the easiest way to do this. And they also specified a meter with an accuracy of 0.1% or 0.01, I don't remember. But you have to remember when this manual was written, shops didn't have digital multimeters. They probably had something like a Simpson 260 or an analog VOM. So any meter that you have today is going to be orders of magnitude better than what they had. So I'm going to adjust the positive 10 and the negative 10, and I'm going to put the camera on the meter. They're not that far off. So as I said, it wasn't that far off, and I had tweaked this a little bit, but we're going to drop this down and get as close to 10 as we can get. You could drive yourself crazy with a meter like this that has 6.5 digits. That is more than good enough. Okay, so now we're going to look at the negative. Okay, and we'll check to see. I don't know that they interact. I didn't take that good a look at the schematic. All right, we're not going to worry about microvolts here. So that's 10.000 negative, 10.001, and we'll touch it up. There you go. 10.00, one more check in the negative, and then we will move on. Yeah. Okay, so the power supplies look good. Okay, so in order to adjust the oscillator, they said to use a tuning fork, but my counter is counting it just fine. Again, back in the day, most shops wouldn't have had a counter anywhere near as nice as this. So it's been on for a few minutes, and I'm going to adjust this and see how close we get to 440. Again, with all these digits in the back, it could drive us nuts. By us, I mean me. Okay. By the way, this is the second time I've done this because the first time I accidentally knocked the camera, and I thankfully noticed it before I got in the house to edit video. Okay, so that's probably more than good enough, but let's see how good we can get it. And I'm going to leave it on for a few minutes, walk away, see if it stays stable. That looks real good. Yeah, that's like 70 millihertz. Not going to sweat it. All right, I confess I was really struggling with the directions to align this thing. And what I discovered after searching for a few more resources on the net is that this particular version of Oscillator is known as version 3. And the giveaway is, instead of having 2 adjustment pots here, we have 3. So that's Oscillator 1, Oscillator 2, Oscillator 3. In addition, we have adjustments here. So once I realized that, I was able to find a procedure that got things a lot closer. I inadvertently was adjusting these 2 pots because that's what it said to do in the written instructions. And I also found an excellent resource for anybody who is interested in servicing a Moog or aligning these things. I highly recommend a guy I found on YouTube that goes by Synth Pro. He's really got a handle on how these things work, and this is the first one I ever worked on, so you have to forgive me if I fumble a little bit. But we live in a golden age of information, and there are people out there that just know more about stuff than I do, and I'm grateful to them. So anyway, now that I got that, I found a set of instructions to align version 3, and we're going to go through that, and I'll show you what I do. And actually, I'm going to show you the counter, and I'll talk to you about which pots I'm adjusting. Before I get started, I should tell you that my frequency counter keeps the last reading it gets. So if I hit a key, I let it go, it's just going to keep that last reading. So I just wanted to let you know that to avoid any confusion. So according to the directions here, we turn the oscillator on the front panel, change the range switch to 16, and hold the low A key and adjust oscillator shift trim pot for 55 Hertz. I've been through this a few times, so it's pretty good. 55 Hertz, that's the low A. The high A should be 440, and that's not too bad, and that is the scale pot. There's always going to be a little interaction, kind of like aligning an FM tuner. That's as good as I think that's going to get. 439.958, 440. I'm happy with that. Now we do the same thing on the other two oscillators. So I'm just going to go through one more because you've seen one, you've seen them all in this case. 55.2. But this is very touchy, and you turn it left or counter or anti-clockwise to turn it up. Which I can't seem to remember. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because this is basically the same process and I have to go through this one a few more times. The next adjustment they have us do is what they refer to as the high end, and you have to turn the range switch to 2. Hold down the low A key, adjust for 440. Hold down the high A, adjust for 3520 Hertz. Now, the adjustment for the low A in this setting is also the same one that we use for the low end in the previous setting. So there's going to be some interaction, and I went through both procedures, several iterations to try and get it as close as I could. Because if you keep changing the shift trim pot for 440 or 55 Hertz, it's the same pot. So I went through this a few times. So this is our 3520, that's 3522, and that's 439. Now, a couple Hertz is going to be pretty much unnoticeable. I'm going to get it as close as I can, but again, sometimes if you obsess over these things, you will never get done. So get it as close as you can, and you'll find that 99% of the time that's going to work out for you. So I'm going to go through this procedure on all 3 oscillators a few more times and see how close I can get it. Okay, I've gone through oscillator 1. This thing has been on for quite a while, and I finally realized that it's most important to get it accurate at the low end, because at the high end a few hertz isn't going to make that much difference. 3 hertz at 3.5 kilohertz is not much difference. So 55 looks good. 440 there. 439. 3524. So I'm going to call this good. I'm going to go through the other oscillators and adjust those. Got this thing back together. I took some Q-tips and soaked them in deoxit and ran them up and down the bus bars, and I got quite a bit of stuff off of there. Plus it left a film, and these keys are a lot better now. And I've never played around with one of these before, but if you hit the keys decisively, you don't get that warble, and I hit them pretty tentatively because I'm not a keyboard player. I played at playing guitar, but keyboard, my parents had a piano. They always yelled at me when I tried to play on it, so that's that story. Anyway, all the controls have been cleaned. One viewer said that he worked in an industrial environment for 25 years, I think he said. And those sealed Allen Bradley pots that I pointed out, he said he replaced only one in his entire time there. Very high quality parts. I am very impressed by the field serviceability of this unit. It was made to be, you know, fixed out on tour. Drop a new circuit board in, you're good to go. Everything was easy to get to. The keyboard was meant to be replaced as an assembly. So yeah, this thing was really well thought out and very popular even to this day. I did service a sequential circuits with, I think was another company formed by Robert Moog. And it was interesting because it had touch sensitivity. And this is late 70s, early 80s. And they did that by having a mechanical shutter on each key. So when you hit the key, a shutter would lift. And on each side of that shutter was a pair of emitters and detector diodes. So they measured touch sensitivity by how fast that shutter went up. And while I had it open, I realized it was optical. I took a flashlight, ran it up and down there, and it was just like running your fingers up and down the keys. I played with that thing for about 5 minutes like a cat with a laser. But anyway, that's all I'm going to do on this. Everything seems really good now. I'm going to finish putting it back together, give it back to the owner, and we're going to stop this video here. And as always, I thank everyone for watching, and I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thanks a lot, folks.